Well, certainly, as has been mentioned, technology drives culture. And it's with the, someone mentioned as well, the invention of the printing press and how important that phenomenon changed the course of history of human development. In today's world, 21st century, the medium is, of course, the internet. With social networking, file sharing, things of this nature, it's so easy. It makes everything is so accessible. We have an accessibility and immediacy that wasn't afforded us in previous times. This brings to question whether or not copyright laws are in need of revision to suit the times. Many people have advocated for such. It's a very valid point, I feel, because as Gary mentioned earlier, with the Vivaldi music that he brought in the printed form, you know, times have changed. And again, my initial point that I feel that technology drives culture. It drives also the development of the creative process and accessibility of things, of commodities such as music, and again, with regard to the Shepard Fairey Obama poster, the original art, which I was referencing earlier, is in fact more painterly. It has more of a tactile quality. If any of you get the chance, by the way, you should go downtown to the National Portrait Gallery and take a look at it. It's on view there, and it will be well worth the time. And the image that has been downloaded online and plastered across the country, it has a flatter, more high contrast visual aesthetic. So it's kind of, you know, it has it's hard to get a real sense of the original unless you see it. And when you do, I think it bears to question, or it bears out the fact that the artist has changed the original art, the original photograph, significantly, so that it becomes something of, you know, originality. I'm not suggesting that. Absolutely, I do, and I think that copyright law or fair practice brings to question the point that you know, changing to bring something to the conversation that wasn't there. And I think that in this case, now in other cases, as far as like sampling music or downloading, as you mentioned, I think that that's just that's another issue completely. Absolutely, I would agree.
Michelle, you wanted to add something?
You know, in my original set of slides, I made the case at the end. Should we do it? And I think we have to re-examine our ethics. How would you feel if you were the photographer that took the picture that somebody else took and went on and they made a lot of money from it, and you got some recognition, but you didn't get any income yourself? The other thing I want to say is I want to debunk the myth that as long as I don't sell it, you know, it's okay. That's not true. There's such a thing as loss of income that you're causing somebody. You're creating a situation where people are getting something for free and losing the, impacting the income of the original photographer or artist to make a living from what they do. So I think we have to re-examine our ethics, and I just make the case for originality.
Yes, you would like.
Okay, in regards to you saying people changing the image, I did a book of poetry some years back, and then the bookstore on consignment, I went to check my books, and I saw this plaque. The African Spears, a beautiful plaque for $25, and I read the poem, and it was one of my poems from my book. The person didn't give me credit. The attorney got in touch with her and told her to cease and desist. Then she wanted to know if she could license my work. So can people license art? You know, can you do that?
Right. I mean, that's one of the advantages of holding the copyright, is that you have whoever holds the copyright has a right to keep it to themselves or to duplicate it, to perform it if it's a performing art, to license it to others to use.
Adapt it, change it in any way. Right?
Make derivatives from it.
My
Sure.
book sold for $6.99. She was selling the plaque for $25.
That's ethics.
perhaps this has already been covered. I arrived a little bit late. But my question has to do, the fax machine. How do we enforce copyright outside of our borders? We already know it's a problem with patents. Other countries do not recognize our copyright laws. We'll take products, we'll research them, build them, and then sell them back to us.
Right. I mean, I think, I don't quote me on this, I think it's part of the Berne Convention that they are supposed to respect it. But
I think that there exists international law related to the patents and to what you can, once when it is registered, one can call you from Germany. And
if you go to Hong Kong, for example,
I think anywhere. Anywhere.
For example, I mean, I've been to both places, and it's everywhere. I mean, they sell them on the street.
So, as much as I know, some countries are very strictly to the law, the others are not. I know, for example, in music production of the records in Russia years ago, they could have been able to produce whatever they wanted. They didn't pay any copyrights anywhere. So it's a violation, definitely, but international law exists. And whether there are international courts that could solve the problem, that's another problem.
Right. I also, if I may add to that, I didn't make copies of this because it's 11 pages, but it comes from the Cornell Law website, and it actually goes through almost line item by line item as to what happens. For example, if somebody in another country first published it and then brings it to the United States, or if you're a citizen living abroad and you publish it, it goes through everything as to what applies.
I just wanted to ask, is there a real difference between the trademark and the copyright? Because I know, like, I assume that when artists create, like, logos, that is a creation or a work of art. But I notice sometimes I see, like, some of them have trademark symbols and others have copyright symbols. Is there a difference?
Yes. I mean, remember the Paris Hilton thing where she wanted to copyright It's Hot? And they said, you know, you can't. And I think that's hot. That's hot, I think, or what it was. Right. So certain things you cannot claim as your own. But if you have a kind of a unique slogan, or you've taken different words and you've put them together in a unique way, not just that's hot, then you might be able to trademark that, if not copyright it. And you know, what a trademark does is it's kind of like the Pepsi logo, which is it the Pepsi logo or the Coke logo, which right now has been modified to look very much like the Obama Pepsi. Yeah. Right, and so trademark is just another form of protecting one's original artwork or original whatever. It could be a slogan.
Well, isn't that used more commercially?
Well, in a way, it's all about commercial use. I mean, and I think that's where artists sort of draw back from it a little bit. Protecting your artwork or your literature is about commercial use.
Do I own the right to my own DNA? It seems like pharmaceuticals are getting patents on human DNA. And as far as I think, that came from my parents and their parents and so on back.
What are they doing with it?
Well, they're developing new drugs, right? So why does a company have the right to my DNA? That's coming. That's
How'd they get it?
any individual person. I know. Well, you know, that's an issue that, of course, the younger generation is going to be facing. They're going to have to pay, you know, for something that should be theirs from birth, as their birthright.
Yeah, I'm just not familiar with that. Sorry.
My question was based on